Hey guys, so this is mostly for my own record keeping purposes, but I wanted to show today a project I'm very proud of. This is my deck of battle cards. I am a millennial, and in like 2000, Pokemon cards were really big. I think Digimon cards were even out. But what I really liked was fantasy, like medieval fantasy, and I didn't know that Magic the Gathering existed. So I made my own cards, and I called them battle cards. In retrospect, that is super boring of a name, but like I've said that term and like read it so many times and written it so many times that it's kind of like just embedded in my head as just like what these are. So I thought I'd just go through all of these that I made in 6th grade. Everyone in 6th grade thought it was amazing that I'd made this many of them, and I played them with my friends. They would make their own battle cards. Sometimes I don't think they were quite as keen on balancing their cards as I was, and so I often had to, like, they would often make overpowered cards, or as we called them, power happy cards, and I would often have to just like make counter cards against them, which was really funny. All right, so I guess our story begins with these, which I called character cards. These were, you know, not uniform in size. I just sort of cut them out and made them. They aren't even like drawable. Like you can't draw them from a deck because the back doesn't have that sort of back. It's just like straight up their description or biography or something like that. So yeah, these are clearly based on Final Fantasy I, as you can tell. It's a white mage, it's a fighter, and I guess a thief or whatever. And then Subdue, that's from Lords of Magic, which is funny. I don't think I even knew what that meant, but the icon on Lords of Magic for Subdue shows a lasso and stuff, which is funny. So, and Disguise is from Lords of Magic. That, honestly, this is basically the thief from Lords of Magic, I can totally tell. Crossbow, steel, yeah, -6 hit points, -1 turn. And the light mage has heal, sleep, revive, and dagger. And the fighter has rage. He's attacking with 3 of his 4 limbs. Dodge, block. I don't know what the heck is the difference between those two. It's kind of funny. And sword. So anyway, that was just sort of my first sort of like, and there are actually a few more of these. I'm not sure where they are. I remember there was like a psychic orc one, which I thought was kind of weird. Anyway, so I started with these in 5th grade. I made these. Again, clearly based heavily on existing video games that I'd played. But in 6th grade, I actually decided to make my own set of uniform cards and basically cash in on what I thought would be a really fun way to practice my drawing and make these like fantasy-based battle cards. So first of all, these were clearly measured out carefully. And now that I'm looking at this, I bet this is gonna bring back memories, because I made so many of these, and there's a specific sheet of paper that some of my teachers had, and this paper isn't quite type paper. It was slightly larger in its dimensions, and the paper was slightly thicker. So I remember trying to stockpile that type of paper and make sure that I had enough to make as many cards as I wanted. But yeah, these are 9 centimeters by 7.5 centimeters. I remember that well. And I remember that after I cut out, I wish I had a piece of paper that was that exact size, because I remember specifically that it would make something like, 3 on one side, or 2 rows of 3, and then two sideways or something, and then there was like a narrow strip that always got wasted each time. But anyway, so let's just go through these, and just for old time's sake, for my own reminiscence really, let's just kind of see how these cards go. So this one is me, named after me. Austin is one of the more loyal masters of war with a silver sword named Kion. He slays any evil in his path. And these master cards, this card's it got a different layout, so I'll talk about layout in a second. But yeah, their specific type was always up in the corner. So this is a master card, and masters were basically me and my friends based on like the ones who actually made the cards. So since I made this deck, this was my card and only I could use it, that kind of thing. Kind of funny though, because this isn't actually that good of a card, and power creep from later cards made this one kind of boring. So yeah, 30 damage for my sword slash, which isn't great compared to other cards, as you'll see later. And then shield of defense, no effective attack next turn. And fervor of the night gives plus 30 attack next turn. So I guess he could do 60 damage from turn to turn. I don't know. Also, I should preface this by saying there were not very many rules in place for actually playing this game. Maybe at the end I'll try and simulate what a game was like, but I don't know. All right, so these are sorted by the master card first, and then the god cards. So this is Goddess of Plants. Her name is Jane, because that is the middle name of my sister. All my gods are named after the middle name of somebody that I know, which is kind of funny, mostly family members. This is actually a fairly decent drawing of a woman for my 6th grade self, because I was terrible at drawing them back then. I mean, her face is obviously pretty ugly, but like all the girls and women I drew back then were so bad. They just basically looked like men with eyelashes. So the fact that she at least has a feminine form is actually pretty impressive to me. So she's got natural ray, tendrils, meaning like, I guess, tangling roots, and then utilize. Okay, so I asked for a thesaurus when I was in 6th grade for my birthday. That's how big of a language nerd I was. And I would just go through it and try to come up with cooler ways to say things. And so I think I looked up the word grow, and then one of the words, for whatever reason, I don't know if I even agree with this, it was utilize. So that was kind of silly. That does not make sense. My plus 20 hit points and attack unit. Yeah, so see, that utilize doesn't work that way, but I just thought that all words were interchangeable, so that's pretty funny. And then leaf blades, 5 hits for 20 damage each if they hit. So the only difference between god cards was I think they had an extra attack here. Usually you only have 3, and you can't kill a god in 1 hit. So in other words, if you do, let's see, how did that work? If you did 300 damage, it did nothing, I guess. Or like maybe it just brought them down to 10 hit points. Maybe the first time that they were brought to 0 hit points, they jumped up to 10, or they canceled that last hit point or something. I can't remember. But otherwise, this is the basic structure of these cards. So you got the name here, the number of hit points, the type of card. Oh, okay, I guess technically they're called titans, but they're all called gods, so that's just the type of card, I don't know. And then you got 3 attacks here, or 4 if it's a god, and a description. And then the battle cards had, instead of being like elemental, like fire, leaf, swamp, death, whatever, they were evil, good, wild, and tame. And wild and tame they're basically mean chaos and order, as you'll see later, because tame is a little weird, but you'll kind of see how they work. So that's the Goddess of Plants, Jane. She's sometimes seen in various jungles. How interesting. All right, here's the God of Fire, Max, named after my brother. Max the Fire God is estimated to be the most powerful Titan, and his attacks are pretty good. Fireballs, Burning Cyclone, which means the next one who attacks him takes 40 damage. And then Melt, 20 hit points, 20 damage each turn until dead. And then Volcanic Eruption, 60 damage to all enemies. So yeah, he's pretty powerful, it's true. Here's the God of Time. George has traveled to ancient times with his powers and is among the smartest titans of all. Not sure who exactly George is named after. Maybe one of my cousins? That doesn't ring a bell. So, Airborne Clock is his first attack. Age, 50% chance of being detained forever. Okay, so detained was a really weird mechanic. Basically, it meant you had to flip a coin on your turn, and if it was tails, then you missed your turn. Heads, you got to take it normally. So I guess this has a 50% chance that you just are slowed for the rest of the game, and then you take 40 damage. Time flies, you miss 2 turns. That's actually kind of a clever one, I like that. And then time travel, defend all attacks for 4 turns, but miss 4 turns. So I guess you just sort of... Okay, there was my ice machine in my fridge. Anyway, so I guess you just sort of nope out of battle for 4 turns and you're safe. So he's an interesting one at least. All right, God of Strength, Tai. Not sure who's named after. The physical god is 40% muscle. Is that even good? I think I might have made that up. I have no idea if even bodybuilders, I feel like they're way more than that. And can lift over 3 tons, huh? 70 damage, fist attack, block, all attacks next turn, power surge, plus 40 attack. Is that permanent? If so, then that's pretty powerful. And then slam, you take 10 damage, but you do 100 damage to the enemy, so interesting. Also, I think it goes without saying that the gods are immune to their normal element, maybe. But I guess with physical or time, I don't really know how that applies, so maybe not. All right, God of the Void, Reed. I think that might have been my best friend's middle name at the time. The God of the Cosmos stands in his way. Oh no, sorry. Orin is the God of the Void, and I guess he's rivals with the God of the Cosmos, which in my mind was like the God of stuff, and then God of the Void is the opposite. I don't know. Though Reed, the God of the Cosmos, stands in his way, Orin has always been very powerful. Wow, very cool. All right, Black Attack, Hole of Nothingness, kill an enemy card and it can't be resurrected. It's kind of cool. And then Black Hole, absorb all attacks done for 3 turns, but miss 3 turns. And then attack enemy with all the damage absorbed in the black hole. That's actually really cool. That could be a cool card. All right, God of Treasure, Dane, he was my cousin's middle name, is the husband of Diane. They live as the wealthiest titans of all. Golden Ball, 60 damage. Gems, 50% chance to convert the enemy to your side by, I guess, buying them off. Then Bombard with coins, 8 times of 10 damage each. And Artifact, draw a good aligned artifact. Kind of a balanced one. God of the Mind, Keller. No idea who that name comes from. Keller's ability to prophesy allows him to predict the opponent's next move. Keller is the only elven god. Okay. I love how tight their clothes are. I knew how to draw like strong torsos and arms, kind of, but I didn't really understand how clothes worked, I guess. You can see his belly button through his clothes. I think even the God of Time had like a robe on that was, that you could still see his belly button, so not sure how that works. Psychic Attack, Thought Shield, you bounce effects back when they attack you next turn. Prophesy, enemy state's next move, +1 turn, Keller. So yeah, I guess you basically say, what are you gonna do next turn? And then you get to act again. Kind of weird. Teleport, switch Keller with a different card and then gain a turn. All right, so that's all the gods. I don't know where Diane went. I could have sworn that there was at least one more goddess card that was like the goddess of water, because I remember seeing like the rain falling in the background. Maybe it'll show up. I don't know. We'll see. All right, so now we get to the hero cards. So that's what this flag means on battle cards, is a hero card. And honestly, they're not that special. I don't know really what my mechanics were for them before. Well, they can wield artifacts, so that's one aspect of them. And then they can also learn techniques, I think. But other than that, I don't know. I don't really know what the cool thing about heroes was. So anyway, you got, unlike other knight heroes, Jareth was never a page or a squire. He was declared a knight at the age of 12. Interesting. So sword attack, fervor, plus 10 hit points to all attacks. Oh, yeah. Basically 10 more damage. I should have just done 10 damage instead of minus hit points, because that gets kind of iffy. And then I should have just said plus 10 attack each turn, next turn. And then Jareth Smite, 40 damage to an enemy and 20 damage to yourself. That's terrible. I'm guessing this was one of the very, very first cards I made, because these are just like bad, you know? So anyway, not very much power creep at that point. Knight Aelith. Aelith is known as Kion, or Slayer of Dragons. That's also the name of Austin's sword at the very beginning. His first dragon was around 100 pounds, but some he's killed were over 600. Wow, I had no grasp of how much weight was. That's hilarious. 100 pounds, maybe tons would have been better. I don't know. Sword only does 20 damage. And then if Dragon Slayer, if it's a dragon, drake, or flying serpent, apparently those were the only 3 dragon cards I had at the time, and there was no actual dragon type in the game, but it did 60 damage. And then Photon Jet breathes fire, I guess, because he's a Dragon Slayer. He kind of has that. It only does 40 damage. It's not great. Knight Sir Arco. At 65 years of age, Sir Arco's offensive skills have begun to slip, but not very much. Oh, interesting. 50 damage for his saber, and then withstand. Anything less than 30 damage next turn gets ignored. Kind of creative. And then Arco Punch is 80 damage. See, here's one of the problems you can see with these cards. These attacks don't have cost, so why wouldn't you just punch every single time instead of use your sword? I'm guessing, I think maybe we had a rule where you could only use one attack one time, like you couldn't use the same attack twice in a row. And so I guess that kind of limits it, but still, it's kind of a boring card. Okay, and then here's another, so here's another type of hero that's good, which is a wizard, but this is the only one of its kind, so I think I was just making a Lord of the Rings expansion. Gandalf is known as the Wandering Wizard. He's been many places, including Hobbiton, Mirkwood, and Erebor. So Strike, not sure where that comes from. And then Veer, like veer off course, I guess. Minus all negative effects next turn. And then Gandalf Wise Word. Oh, I just realized heroes must have unique abilities, because that was Arco Punch, Aelith, Photon Jet, and Jareth Smite. Okay, so that's another thing heroes have apparently. So Gandalf's is Wise Word, and it's +1 defense on a unit, which I assume means that they take 10 less damage. It's kind of a funny art. Apparently, like Gandalf's like advising the Hobbit to be careful, and that gives them 10 defense. I don't know, kind of interesting. All right, so now we're getting into the good units as opposed to the heroes. So this is what most of the cards are. Hunter, not really sure why he's good. It seems like he'd be more into like order or something. Trying to track down and kill any pests around. Hunters are cheerful in their doings. So I'm just gonna skip past any, like you can obviously pause and look at these attacks if you want, but I'm just gonna pause, or I'm just gonna skip past the attacks that are basically like everything that we've already seen so far, and I'll just focus on the unique ones. I will say that is funny because my friend had a card called an Armored Iru, and it was some sort of like snail thing inside a shell, and that's a picture of one, and they were super annoying, and so I made him, this must have been a counter to those, especially right here, Hunt. 20 damage to all Irus, griffins, phoenixes, or animals in the game. So I must, like, one thing about Irus was that they multiplied really quickly, and so they just got out of hand, and so that does damage to all of them, which is pretty funny. Sprite, female. Female sprites are beautiful creatures who enchant and protect peaceful lands. Sprites are very tiny. Again, not a terrible picture of a female compared with all the other ones I drew. I'm surprised that it ended up like this on my cards. Unison attack. For every other sprite in game, do 10 damage. Enchantment, 20 attack for a unit. And then beautiful song, +3 sprites in play. So these can multiply pretty quickly as well. That's quite a bit of hit points for such a tiny thing. I would have thought that it only had 10. As you can see, it's in multiples of 10, probably because that's what the Pokemon was. Genie. Although Genie is not an artifact, it can be attached to a card to have all attacks done to it reduced by 40. Interesting. So it can like guard a unit, I guess. Bolt. Protect, attach Genie to one of your creatures or heroes. It's protecting a baby, that's funny. And wish, if there's a master in the game, make any kind of wish for this game. Seems kind of overpowered, especially if you can use that as many times as you want. Familiar, as long as a familiar is attached to a card, that card's defense is at 40, basically like the Genie. Tiny lance, sacrifice, kill the familiar and resurrect a dead creature. So I'm guessing these are kind of like the fairies on Zelda. And then protect, attach familiar to a card. Again, without rules, it's hard to understand like what happens to a familiar when it dies, or like when its host dies, I don't know. All right, Phoenix. I remember this is one of the early cards. Phoenixes were created by the angels to purge evil from this world. They can instantly kill evil creatures and even heroes, and can even call their master to help them out. Exorcise, as in exorcism, kill the enemy if they're evil, but do 30 hit points of damage to the Phoenix. And then Flame Wave is 20 damage. Screech is call an Archangel into play. So I've always been really into like archangels and celestial creatures and stuff, so Phoenixes were. And also, just how, Pokemon and I assume Magic the Gathering and stuff has different creatures, like the same creature but different art and different abilities. This is just a different Phoenix. I think they might even have different hit points. Nope. Anyway, Inferno, Exorcism, kill enemy if evil, Screech, Archangel. So this one's just a little more powerful with its ability, I guess. Phoenixes were created to serve the Archangels. If a Phoenix is killed by an evil card, it is reborn. That's an interesting change to that one. Unicorn. I've never been able to draw horses well, especially back then. Unicorns are known to heal the wounded with their magical tears. So Healing Tear, Magic Horn, and Blind Stab. 20 damage, and they lose 2 turns. Oof, it's kind of gory. Leprechaun. Leprechauns are tricky little guys that hide among flowers and toadstools. Being lucky, you flip 2 coins at the start of a game. Oh, I guess you flip a coin at the start of a game to see who goes first, so this lets you flip twice. Trick. A 50% chance of 30 damage, and it's not affected by defense. Makes sense, I guess. And then Estate, plus 10 attack for a unit. I'm guessing it means you purchase weapons for a unit so they get more powerful. Fortune. There's a 50% chance of the enemy takes 30 damage and a 50% chance of the leprechaun taking 30 damage. Kind of risky, especially when it only has 40 hit points. Medicine Man. Another tight-robed individual, trained to administer scarce herbs to sickened creatures. Medicine men are great tools in combat. Also, I should point out that when I measured these cards with the centimeters and stuff, I also would measure a centimeter at the top, and I would just draw that line all the way across, and then I'd do a square centimeter for that corner thing, and then 2 centimeters for these, so I would draw that all the way down there, and then 2 centimeters there. So an entire paper had all of these lines in place, and then I could just fill them out when I cut them out. Not sure why he's wearing heels. All right, Archangel. Archangels are protective beings sent by the gods to bring goodness to the world. Holy Sword, Unbeatable Wing, and Resurrect. Resurrect a dead unit. I know there's 2 Archangels too. Maybe we'll see it at some point, but this is the second one I made. I'm fairly certain. Gargoyle. Interesting that it's a good card. It's kind of unusual. Gargoyles were once mere statues guarding cathedrals. Ah, that makes sense. Why? Until they were enchanted. 20 hit point. Damage Claw. Stone Skin. All attacks done to Gargoyle are reduced by 20 next turn. I feel like I could have come up with some keywords to make it less writing in the margin, like, 20 damage next, or 20 defense next turn or something. And then Lunar Beam, 30 damage to all cards in one team. I don't know why it doesn't just say all enemy cards. Oh, I think you could, I don't know if this game was meant to be played one-on-one. It could also be played like one-on-one-on-one. And so maybe you had to just choose a team, and then that did blast the beam through all of them. Pixie Eye. Pixie Eyes, as the sorcerers call them, are little dancing specks of light that only have a 50% chance of getting hit by an attack. So they only have 10 hit points, but they have sort of a half chance of getting hit because they're so small. Blind. 10 damage and -2 turns. That seems like a little bit of damage, but that seems extremely powerful, especially if there's only one enemy in play. You just keep them blinded the whole time. Dodge. Minus all effects next turn. So you could just blind dodge, even if it was just that, one attack per, or not the same attack twice in a row. Like, that's pretty overpowered. All right, I like the Archons. So there's one for each element. This is the Good Archon. Everyone knows of the Good Archon's ability to convert evil, wild, or tame creatures to the good side. So Beam, Good Magic, change element to good, and -30 hit points. And then summon the Angelic Eagle, which we'll see in a bit. I don't really know why this element would, well, I don't know why it would be a good idea to change them to good and then kill them. But I guess maybe we'll see some cards that affect specific elements of cards. White Magus. White Magi are treasured for their healing and curing abilities to help their troops in combat. Heal, Cure, remove negative effects, and Prayer, +1 attack. Pretty simple support card. All right, this is the first Archangel card I drew. And definitely one of the older ones too, based on my drawing style. Sent from heaven to purge the world of all evil, archangels are holy ambassadors to earth. Angels are the creators of phoenixes, the demon-killing birds. Holy Sword, Holy Shield, and Convert. So if they're evil, then you convert them to your side, I guess. Okay, here's the Angelic Eagle. I like how he has the far side eyes. The Angelic Eagle's wingspan is over 6 feet in length. Wow, that's not very much, I don't think. Its super blind attack is tripled out of normal blind. Okay, not sure what that's comparing to. Holy Pulse, 50 damage. Good Thunder. Oh yeah, each of the summoned Archon units has some kind of a thunder. So Good Thunder is absorb attacks next turn, meaning if you take 10 damage, you gain 10 hit points instead. And then Super Blind is 30 damage and -3 turns. All right, Male Sprite. The male sprite looks somewhat different than the female and is formed to electricity. I guess I kind of understand what I was trying to say. So Combined Shock, 10 damage for every male sprite in the game. Mate, if female sprite is in the game, there's a 50% chance of +3 sprites and a 50% chance of +5 sprites. Wow, they're prolific. It's funny how I illustrated the mating. It's just like all these hearts slamming into each other. So the sexual dimorphism of the sprites were interesting. So the other ones were basically like fairies, and then these sprites are like on Lords of Magic, where they're like blue, they've got blue skin, kind of glowing eyes, and then like dragonfly wings, and they shoot electricity. So definitely taken straight from Lords of Magic. And then Elec Signal, +2 male sprites. Monk. The friars of North Monastery have a top secret way of life. Some claim them to be plotting a way to destroy all trolls. Huh. I wonder why. Is not affected by good cards. Interesting. So pulse, heal, and split. Reverse half the attack damage done to the monk next turn. Oh, okay. So you take half damage and the enemy takes the other half. Medic. His body structure is kind of weird. He looks kind of like a robot, but maybe it's plate armor. Medics are useful tools in combat. Although they have no weapon, they can heal, cure, and even revive your warriors. Heal, cure, revive. Basically like that white magus, kind of redundant. Good spirit. Good spirits are mortal enemies of evil spirits and are usually seen fighting with them. Distract. The enemy loses 2 turns, and then you switch the good spirit with another card from your deck, I guess. So tend, resurrect a dead unit, and then exercise. If your unit has been converted, get it back. It's kind of a niche ability, but maybe it'd be useful. King. Kings are fat because of all the food they are served. They have the power to seize enemies and dub knights. It's clearly based on the kings from Age of Empires 2. They look exactly like that, and they're kind of tubby. Seize, 50% chance of death, 50% chance to miss 3 turns. I assume in a dungeon. And then dub, if there's a knight in play, then the knight gets plus 40 attack. Huh, interesting. Knighthood, I assume you can only do that once, but I don't know. Okay, so here's an Armored Iru, at least my representation of it. I bet my friend Dustin, who first designed them, would not be happy with this representation. Automatic gun, burrow, and call for help, plus 2 Armored Irus in play. Their shells are harder than steel, and no one has ever seen what's within them. Yeah, I didn't understand them that well. Sorry, Dustin, if you're watching this ever. Okay, so that's all the good cards. Now we're with evil cards. Here are the evil heroes, which are called necromancers. So necromancer Laron. No one knows the exact history of Laron, but everyone knows of his Ifrit-like flame instead of legs. Interesting. Firebolt, Jet of Flame, and Laron Kill. So you just kill an enemy, but you take 50 damage, which would probably kill you or bring you down to 10 hit points if you had it were at full. Necromancer Sara Maru. Sara Maru is one of the oldest fire witches in existence. She has an age of 349 years old. Fire Whip, Cauterize, which heals herself for 30 damage. And Sara Maru Bolt, which does twice her normal damage. Kind of boring though. This was the first card I ever made. It's called the Sinister. Okay, let's try that again. This is the first card I ever made. I distinctly remember where I was in my childhood home, sitting down and drawing it. And I remember designing it and everything, and I think maybe it was based on something I'd drawn somewhere else. So yeah, Sinister Hand is basically a floating, well, the gruesome hand floats in the air as by some dark smoke as propulsion. It is never seen in the day, but chooses to kill at night. So this is why it's the simplest card ever. It does Rush for 10 damage, Gore for 20 damage, and Strangle for missing 1 turn. So yeah, terrible card. And then there's a Sinister Head, which is the hovering disembodied head levitates through smoke clouds. Bite, Wicked Cackle, -10 attack on an enemy, and then Dodge. Can't even really tell what that's a picture of. I guess maybe it's flying away. Okay, this was a questionable decision I made, adding some sci-fi alien stuff to this fantasy genre. So this is a queen and some alien language there. Queens are found riding brids since birth. Their mysterious appearance goes with evil eyes and work tea, which we'll see later. And all it has is Disrupt, which does -40 defense. I assume that means you take 40 more damage with every hit? Oof. Maggot. After 4 turns in a game, a maggot pupates into a random insect. I don't even remember having that many insects in this game, but... Grue. With their hideous tusks, disgusting tentacles, and levitating hands, Grues are virtual nightmares. So, claw, floating claw, I guess, spikes. I'm reminded of like lurkers on StarCraft, maybe. 10 times 3 damage, and then eat. You'd kill an enemy and gain 40 hit points. Ooh, that's pretty powerful. Amphisbaena. A lot of these are from like monster books and manuals that I had as a kid, and I remember exactly which one this one's from. Amphisbaena is having 2 heads, can place one head in the other's mouth to form a pursuing hoop. So pursue, you chase them for 2 turns, I guess. Double bite, 2 40 damage hits, and then crush for 70 damage. What is that a picture of? Oh, their heads, they're moving their heads together to crush a bird, like the horns together. Okay, Parasite. The Parasite may be attached to an enemy card to have its hit points drained by 10 each turn. Using Cure returns it to your deck. Healing attacks have half effect when attached. That's kind of cool. And I assume it's untargetable when you attach it to an enemy. So that's one insect that maggot can turn into. Chimera. Each head of a chimera has a different purpose. The lion spits fire, the snake venom, and the goat screams. This is a pretty well-rounded card. I remember being pretty proud of it. Fire Belch, 60 damage. Scream, 10 damage and -1 turn. And then Venom, Corrode is 30 damage each turn. Which could stack pretty bad, I bet. Black Magus, obviously based on the Black Mage from Final Fantasy. White Magi are opposite of Black Magi. White Magi work on healing and curing. Evil Magi are masters... Black Magi are masters of attack and confusion spells. Fire Jet, Confusion. Oh, enemies is yours for 1 turn. And Raise Dead, resurrect 1 dead unit, but it costs the Black Magus 10 hit points. Demon. Demons trade hatred with archangels. Their attacks are similar, though. So yeah, if you remember the Archangel from earlier, you got an Unholy Sword, Flame Shield, 10 damage to any unit that hits the demon next turn, and Evil Word, convert the enemy if good, instead of convert the enemy if evil. Evil Spirit, the counterpart to the Good Spirit. Evil Spirits can possess any living thing by turning into a sulfuric cloud and seeping in. So yeah, you can see that as he's going into his mouth. That's probably based on a movie or TV show or something. I can't really think of it, but I'm almost positive there's some 90s TV show where some evil spirit like turns into smoke, goes into a guy's throat, and then he's possessed. Hurl, -10 hit points and detained for 1 turn, and chomp. All right, here's the Evil Archon. Bearers of claws most sharp and magic most deadly. Evil Archons are most evil. I had to know that was silly back then. Did I really think that was cool? Claw Slice, evil magic, change element to evil and do 30 damage. And then summon the Devil's Viper. So here's the Archon's companion, the Devil's Viper. Devil's Viper deals 10 extra damage to good cards. It can coil hard enough to knock someone unconscious. So Club is 50 damage. Evil Thunder is basically 30 damage if the enemy strikes. And Coil is 30 damage and lose 3 turns. Alright, Ifrit, which is basically an evil genie. Ifriti's Fire Shield ability allows them to deal 10 damage to the striking enemy. They can power up the shield using Fire Shield Surge. So yeah, these are based on the Ifrit from Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Fireball, Fire Shield Surge, -10 additional hit points to the Fire Shield. Okay. And then Evil Wish, 50% chance of making a wish, but no requirement if there's a what was it, a knight or something that required, can't remember, or a good card. Anyone who sees oh no, master, that's what the other genie was. Okay, so Gorgon. Anyone who sees a Gorgon's eyes are turned to solid stone. After this happens, the Gorgon knocks the statue's head off. Okay, that is from the opening cinematic to Heroes of Might and Magic 3, as you're seeing in this clip. Yeah, that's exactly what that's from. Clearly, a lot of these things sort of stuck in my mind, and I wanted to make them into cards as a result. Snake Bite, 20 damage and detained for 1 turn. Stone Gaze, -3 turns and -30 hit points. Gorgon. This must have been an early card when I thought that was too powerful, I guess, since that was the cost. Tail Whip, 20 damage. Oh, this must have been an early one, because that's even worse. That's basically the exact same as this, but detained for 1 turn. Weird. All right, having no mouth, warlocks communicate with other warlocks by telepathy. Energy Orb, Black Hole. Oh, this is just like that. The God of the Void, absorb all attacks for 3 turns, and then attack enemy with all the damage absorbed in the Black Hole. Probably very inspired by Protoss, based on how they look. Evil Eye with the alien language. After an extreme asteroid impact, evil eyes were found everywhere. Eye Beam, Irradiate, 30 damage each turn, and Shock, 20 damage and miss a turn. So these are probably based on the evil eyes on Heroes of Might and Magic as well, because they have an Eye Beam, and then they also have the Shocking Tentacles, and then Irradiate's probably just straight from StarCraft, because I didn't know what else it meant, and that's like an actual picture of what it looks like. So yeah, apparently in the story of Battalia, which was the name of this sort of realm that the battle cards take place in, I know, not super creative, but I guess in Battalia, there was some kind of a meteor landing, and then there was a sort of panspermia thing where aliens were sort of found everywhere afterwards. Minotaur. These beings are found mostly in labyrinths, but some are known to wander elsewhere. Axe. Kind of a backwards animation of it there. Stealth, all attack penalties, enemy. Minus all attack penalties. I have no idea what that means. Minus all attack penalties, enemy. Huh, no idea. And then minus 20 hit points and miss a turn. Bash, I guess he headbutts him over the mountain or whatever. Zombie, yuck. Not a fan of this one's anatomy. That looks really kind of dumb, especially its legs. Horribly and disgustingly, zombies feed upon the dead corpses of their own team. Cuff, Terrify, and Eat Dead. Plus 20 hit points for every dead unit. Assassin. Assassins strike randomly attack. Huh. And are hardly ever seen at work. Hence, assassins are frightening to man and child alike. That makes no sense. Assassins strike randomly and are hard ever seen at work. I don't know. Knife, Subdue, and Assassinate. If their hit points are over 90, you kill them. So I guess the notion of assassin is like you assassinate the high and mighty. So if it's very powerful, then you can kill it in 1 hit, but not lower, jobs or something. Vampires. Striking at night, vampires are the number 6 cause of venomous death in the land. Oh my gosh, I don't know where I came up with these. That's very funny. 10 damage and 10 healing for the vampire. And then Sleep. The vampire misses a turn but gains 30 hit points. I feel like it should just go back up to full, but I'm not going to critique the my 6th grade self. And then Venomous Bite, 20 damage and detained for 1 turn. Wraith. Wraiths and Banshees mate to create more of these terrifying haunts. Haunt, hallucinations, detained for 2 turns, and mate. If Banshee is in play, there's a 50% chance of a Wraith and 50% chance of a Banshee. Gross. There's a Mummy. Many mummies live only to avenge the one that awoke them from their rest. Slash, wrap, and curse. Minus 10 attack each turn until powerless. Ooh, that's actually kind of an interesting ability. Dark Warlord. Okay, so these are where I'm getting into some more StarCraft stuff. So these gruesome, drooling behemoths are ugly, but they can run incalculably fast. Chew, agility, and meld. So Dark Spirit in play if Dark Wizard use merge. Yeah, so these are basically like, I think you're gonna see similar ones that are in the Tame deck, but yeah, so that was a Dark Warlord, this is the Dark Wizard. After the creation of hundreds of Mystic Wizards and Warlords, the Mystic Blacksmiths renamed themselves the Dark Blacksmiths and created these. Okay, so yeah, Mystic ones are apparently tame. Glare, minus 10 in one turn. Ring of Fire, 10 damage to all enemy cards. And then Meld, Dark Spirit if Dark Warlord in play. So yeah, basically this is kind of like a dark, this is kind of like a High Templar, this is kind of like a Dark Templar, and then they merge to become a Dark Spirit. Made from the combination of a Dark Wizard and Warlord, these effigies are almost pure fire. So burn, retaliate. This is so complicated I couldn't even fit in a graphic for it. All attacks next turn done to Dark Spirit have effect, but striking enemies' hit points lowers as much as Dark Spirit. Jeez, just say, I feel like I had that attack earlier, but it wasn't in a lot less words than that. A lot fewer words than that. Separate Dark Wizard and Warlord into play. Oh yeah, and I bet you anything this 140 hit points is the combination of these, right? 80 and 60, yeah. So I assume that you can separate to sort of heal the individual cards, but... Okay, so that is the evil cards. And this one is the Wild deck. So the Wild hero is called Barbarian. Gorak has trained long and hard for years to become a good, powerful barbarian. Tame, convert enemy if wild. That's very, very ironic. Since he's a wild card, why is he taming things? But oh well. Club, 20 damage. Gorak Rage, and it only does 30 damage. It's been one of those really early cards as well. Torkaniscus. Many wonder how Torkaniscus got 6 fingers on each hand and hideous horns. The truth is that years ago, Torkaniscus was mutated by alchemists. To this day, Torque's adrenaline flows at the thought. Huh. So Hurl Ring, Alchemist Memory, plus 20 attack next turn, Torkaniscus. I guess he's thinking about his alchemist that he's mad at, makes him enraged. And Search Clothing, plus 1 artifact next turn. So he roots through his pockets and finds an artifact. Here's another bug that the maggot can turn into, a venomous wasp. Being tiny, wasps have only a 50% chance of being hit. Their venom is not deadly, but merely a tranquilizer. Sting, 10 damage, detained for 1 turn. Swarm, 10 damage for every wasp in the game. And Report, I don't know why that's the name of the attack, but plus 3 wasps in play. So they're kind of like sprites. Hydra, having 3 heads, Hydras sometimes get in fights. Every 2 turns, there's a 50% chance of taking 10 hit points from itself. That's kind of funny. Triple Fire, 50 damage times 3. Dig and Tail Whip has a chance of doing 60 or 80 hit points. So kind of a chance on doing more. Okay, Stickman Bill. Okay, I think Stickman Joe was my friend Dustin's creation, and this was like my joke about that. Stickman Bill. Bill's a good friend of Stickman Joe. They went to the Pest Academy together. Pistol, Stab, and Choke. This is him blowing cigar smoke in somebody's face. Terrible. 10 hit points. Terrible. Worktay, here's another alien. No one knows where these strange beings came from. They speak and write much different than us. Triple Pinch, Irradiate, and Gamma Ray, which does 100 damage. Stickman Hunter. Apparently Stickman Joe my friend's card was really annoying because I made this card. Originally, raiders took Canali Valley until stickmen became too plentiful. Stickman hunters are paid to kill the stickman pests. That's one of my favorite arts for this, is him just holding a dead stickman, smoking a stick, and his only attack is revolver. 50 damage to any stickman in the game. I must have really been mad at them. All right, here's the Archon, Wild Archon. His long arms, though freakish, allow him to climb high cliffs. 50 damage. Spine Club, Wild Magic, which changes enemy to wild and does 30 damage, just like the other ones. And then summon the Tusktor. Oh, dang, it's not there. I guess we'll have to see it when it comes up. Rock. Some rocks have been seen carrying full-grown elephants off the coast of Ortica. Swoop. Evade, only 40 damage and it's that big. And drop, 50 damage. Serpent Man. Mostly found in dungeons, caves, and abandoned gold mines. This is easily, honestly, Detained was a very old-fashioned mechanic, and so anytime you see Detained, you can tell it's one of the older ones I made. 20 hit points, detained for 1 turn. Tackle, Tail Whip, and Venomous Bite. This is a terrible turn. So 20 damage and detained for 1 turn, just 20 damage, or 10 damage and detained for 2 turns. Yeah, that's gotta be like the first wild card I ever made, I bet. Many people even refuse to go near the sea at dusk, fearing these sea serpents. Bite, Fear, it's like bubbling out of the water, and Whirlpool. Interesting. Scorpion. Although small, scorpions are powerful in packs. Solitary, however, they are easily killed. 10 damage Claw, a detaining 10 damage Sting, and then call +3 scorpions into your deck. Behemoth. Or as I pronounced it back then, Behemoth. Skeletons and behemoth footprints have been found in some of the village synagogues. What the crap does that mean? Spiked Club, Fright, and Kamikaze all basically do 90 damage to the behemoth and and kill the enemy. Did not expect that. Okay, here's the Tusktor. The mighty Tusktor is the servant of the Wild Archon. Basically, he's a giant one-eyed elephant man. Tusks, Wild Thunder, which is reverse attacks next turn, and then Crush, which is 100 damage. Put that back with the Wild Archon. There it is. Back together. Okay, we got the Flying Serpent. These airborne snakes were once peaceful desert serpents until the mad alchemists got hold of them. Fang Bite, Venom Squirt, and Bloodlust. Also, the weaker a card is, the older it is, I bet. Wyverns, the first stage of a dragon, have no arms. It can evolve to a dragon. 20 damage, Flight Tackle, Icy Breath, -1 turn, and evolve. Kill Wyvern and +1 dragon in play. I'm guessing just a random dragon. I don't remember that having that many, but I guess we'll see. Here's a flame one. Flame Dragon. The breath of a flame dragon is hot enough to melt lead. Fire Jet, Fly, and Spikes. Okay, now we're getting into the elementals. There's a lot of these, and they're all wild, and so I got carried away with them for sure. All right, so we got Confusion Elemental. Confusion Elementals love to ask impossible equations to everyone and then gloat when they get it right. So Direction Fist, punch from all directions somehow. Stump with a math problem for 2 turns, and then Offer, like I guess tutoring offer, 50% chance to convert an enemy. It's like, hey kid, did you want me to tutor you if you join our side? What are these books? Macro something and hard math. Plant Elemental. Elemental. All plant-like attacks heal instead of hurt against plant elementals. Oh yeah, so that's the bonus of every elemental, is it absorbs damage of its own type. Natural Ray, which I think is exactly like the Goddess of Plants. Photosynthesis, which gains 30 hit points. And then Wrap, 10 damage, -1 turn. Dark Elemental. Dark Elementals are known to sacrifice themselves to block out the sun for days. Corrosion Cloud, block sun. Kill Dark Elemental, 5 turns, all enemies. Wow. And then Parasite. I don't know what that has to do with darkness. All right. Next is a Cosmic Elemental. Reed's troops. I wonder where Reed went. Because, yeah, I did have a God of the Cosmos and a Goddess of Water. I wonder where they went. Anyway, the elementals of the cosmos cannot properly attack, yet they can summon anything. So summon Sword, Warp Rift, draw a card. It's interesting that not any other cards have yet had any draw card mechanics very much. Build up, +10 defense, Cosmic Elemental. Kind of boring, but interesting, I guess. Plasma Elemental. As beings of pure energy, plasma elementals can start electric fires. Okay, these are clearly based on the energy elementals from Heroes of Might and Magic 3 Complete. Current, Surge, and Electric Flame. Wow, 100 damage. Light Elemental. Bright masses of raw light. These elementals' bodies can blind creatures with extreme constant flashes. Blind, Mirror, reverse attacks next turn. That's funny. And Laser Bolt. Fire Elemental. If any unit attacks a fire elemental and their attack is fire, it gains hit points instead of losing it. Burning Fist, Blaze, and Spin. 20 damage to all enemy units in play. War Elemental. War Elementals, unlike other elementals, are soulless and have no emotions, desires, memories, or touch sensors. I don't know why touch sensors have to do anything with a soul, but okay. So yeah, they're basically more like golems. Sword, javelins, and block. Galactic Elemental. So I think that there's actually a elemental for each one of the gods, because this one's clearly the void one, I think. Since the god of galaxies is not immortal, Legends tells that when he dies, a galactic elemental will evolve and take his place. Never mind, I guess that's different from the void. Comet, Warp. Switch Cosmic Elemental with another card and then attack? Then Asteroid. A 50% chance of doing 100 damage. That's funny, because it might miss or whatever. Mind Elemental, clearly from the Psychic Elementals from Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Mind Elementals, because of their strong minds, cannot be converted or affected by absorbing attacks. Absorbing? I'm not sure what that means. Maybe like the black hole or something from earlier. Psychic Attack, Thought Shield, and Future Prophesy, enemy state's next move. Water Elemental, also based on the ones from Heroes of Might and Magic 3. You can tell that was my favorite game at the time. Any ice or water attack used on a water elemental is consumed, i.e. ice spell -20 hit points, +20 points water elemental. So this is probably one of the earlier elementals where I felt the need to explain that instead of just say absorb. Liquid Skin, Geyser, and Tsunami. Wow, 50 damage to all units in an army. Makes sense, it just kind of goes through all of them. Lava Elemental. Fire and earth are absorbed into lava elementals. Their intense heat melts nearby rock mines. What's a rock mine? Heat Jet, Rock Cool, and Volcanic Eruption. 50 damage to all enemies. Earth Elemental. All physical attacks are absorbed into earth elementals, but lightning attacks do double damage. That seems kind of backwards, but okay. 10, okay, Rock Hurl does 10 damage. It's like throwing a pebble. Stone Flesh, +10 10 hit points to all attacks done to earth elementals. Okay, so I'm guessing that means 10 defense next turn, which is pretty bad compared to all the other ones. And then quake, -1 turn, all enemies. That's got to be one of the very first ones that I made as well. Poison elemental, made purely of Zerricane acid, death gas, and Pacis poison. Poison elementals are destructive beings. I have no idea what those are. I think I made them up. Acid spew, corrode, and death gas. I guess I thought acid and poison were kind of the same thing. Elemental animal. Oh yeah, this one's weird. All attacks done to an elemental animal that take away 40 hit points or less are absorbed into it. So I guess it absorbs weak attacks. Claws, tail whip, and tackle. Air elemental. Air elementals absorb any air or lightning attacks done to them. Electricity. All evil cards only? Huh, how weird. Gust and Tempest. If there's a water elemental in play, does 40 damage to all enemies. That's really weird. I don't know why it only does that to evil cards. I can't imagine why I would have stipulated that. I do like the picture though. I wish more of my art on the cards was more epic like that instead of just sort of standing there awkwardly. Okay, here's one of the void elementals. Those solid void elementals are actually clouds of nothing. No matter exists within them. Okay, black attack, just like Orin. Smoke cloud and hole of nothingness, kill enemy, may not be resurrected. -10 hit points to the void elemental for casting that. Basilisk, there are 3 types of basilisks, each with different characteristics. This one is a lizard breed. Chomp, flame, and stone gaze. I wonder what the other ones were. I don't think I made the other ones. I know one of them's probably a cockatrice, and then one's possibly like the snake basilisk from Harry Potter, but I have no memory of whether I made them. I guess we'll see. Titan. Titans are the only known beings to have the ability to kill a god in one attack. Okay, yeah, so that was what the things were with the gods, was that they couldn't be killed in one attack. But this one, kill god, and it takes 70 damage. Particle shield, all attacks done to the Titan are reduced by 20. And beam. It's a weird one for sure. Manticore, sheep, pigs, and other livestock have been vanishing from farms, and the law lords think this is the work of manticores. Law lords, huh? Oh, this must have been a really early one because these attacks are not off, like the measurements are off on this. So either I did that wrong. No, this looks like my older style as well, earlier in the year. Claw, darts, and venom. Oh yeah, that says detained, right? Yep, that's gotta be one of the very, very first cards. Shaman, a faint blue glow emits from a shaman, and when one dies, the glow turns red and stays until their body is gone. Huh, okay. Chant, regenerate, and sacrifice. Kill shaman, resurrect one dead unit. Troll. Trolls love to bury by passing carriages in their rocky landslides and avalanches. Axe throw, definitely troll axe thrower reference from Warcraft 2, which I loved. And avalanche, which says, I wonder why it's 20 damage twice. That doesn't, it seems like it should do it to all enemies or something. Maybe I meant like to 2 enemies. Regenerate, and it regains all its hit points. Samurai, I'm not sure why that's wild and not tame, but I guess I didn't know anything about them because that doesn't even look like one really. The Samurai tribe was originally a protection team for Mongolia. But once some Korean terrorists got in, they were almost immediately fired? Wow, I knew nothing about the world back then. That is funny. Kung Fu chops, Mongolian sword, block. Wow, that is quite hilarious. Psychic artist. Little is known about these wanderers. They know how to hypnotize and suspend objects in the air. Hypnotize, prophesy, and psychic throw. Ice dragon, another dragon here. Ice attacks have no effect. Their icy breath drains the body heat of their enemies. Icy breath does 40 damage and minus 20 defense. Freeze and blizzard. As you can see, I made more wild cards than anything. There's so many of these. Mega Scorpion. Everyone knows these weird things originated from normal scorpions, but who knows how they mutated? Double Sting, Double Claw, Defend. Okay. I'm gonna save this one for a little bit later. Mystical Wizard. Dark and mysterious describe these beings. Their brethren, the mystical warlords, are able to combine powers to summon a mystic spirit. So yeah, basically they're Protoss, Templars, and whatnot. First Blood, 30 damage to all enemies that are at full health. Psy Gun, 50% chance to do 40, 50% chance to do 50. And then Merge, just like the Mystic or Dark Warlords. So here's the Mystical Warlord. Mystical Warlords are golems created by the Mystical Blacksmiths. These are able to combine powers with a Mystical Wizard to summon a Mystic Spirit. Claws, Snuff out attacks, I guess, and then Merge, of course, into the Mystic Spirit, just straight up an Archon from StarCraft. Mystic Spirits are basically clouds of psi created by the combination of a Mystical Warlord and Mystical Wizard. The Mystic Spirit is able to split back at will to heal. Okay, yeah, so that was the whole mechanic of splitting apart, is you get all your hit points back. Psychic Beam and Psi Blaze. Okay, so now we're back to okay, so now we're in Tame. So here the Tame heroes are called enchanters, which are from, here's 3 as well. As you can see, Mach 2 used to be a barbarian, judging by the war paint and severed hand. So you can summon a creature, magic arrow, which is why that's what enchanters attack with on Heroes 3, and Mach 2 Slit, which does more damage, I guess. So I made this one first, and then later on I made this. It was a wild card because this was like his younger self as a barbarian. Mach 2. Though not yet a hero, Mach 2 is considering becoming an enchanter in the distant future. Arrowheads, magic arrows, and rabies. Enemy's element is changed to wild. Weird. What's funny is he's way better as his original self. Like, he has a little more hit points in this version, but he can shoot 3 magic arrows in this form. And his arrowheads do basically a little bit more than Mach 2 Slit, so kind of funny. Enchanter Genix. Like all enchanters, Genix is able to summon creatures from a teleportation rift and to polymorph into different creatures. Genix is a master of griffins. This is another old card because it's so narrow right here. Summon a creature, polymorph. That's funny. It shows him as like a dragon with his beard and robe still. Changes Genix into a random creature, and then Genix Tame, and +1 Griffin. Wind Wizard. Each turn after a spell is cast, a Wind Wizard rejuvenates 10 mana points. Clear until back up to 50. Okay, so this was me experimenting with the new concept of mana. So let's see how well I balanced them. Elect Bolt, 30 damage and 10 mana. Rejuvenate, Wind Wizard's mana is back up to 50, and Tornado, 90 damage to an enemy, and it costs 40 mana points. Yeah, I can see kind of what I was going for. All right, here's another enemy alien called the Brid. Like the Warg Tea and the Evil Eyes, Brids appeared after the Great Meteor Crash. Fly, Transport, and Whirlwind. Shuffle enemy's deck. That's interesting. So yeah, these are like little sort of rectangular prism-shaped brain things that I invented when I was making up a sci-fi game when I was in like 4th grade. So I kind of resurrected them for this game and added them to the alien army. It's weird that the aliens that have these symbols and stuff are spread over like 3 different alignments. Avatar. Apparently I thought tar meant like half human or something. And then I heard that like Avis was, you know, bird, so it's like Birdman. Avatars can communicate with any animal that has wings, not just birds, by speaking Avatongue. Wingstaff, dodge, and speak Avatongue. Convert enemy if they have wings. That's funny. Silver Magus. The Silver Magus has the characteristics of the black and white Magi. It attacks like a black Magus and heals like a white Magus. So it's like the red mage from Final Fantasy. Ball Lightning, Leech, and Heal. So basically he can do 20 damage, he can heal 20 damage, or he can do 10 damage and heal himself for 20 damage. Okay, back to the sci-fi stuff. Marine. Members of the opposition are the Marines, which there are hundreds of. They fight in unity to kill the Force. Not very creative names of factions, but Tommy gun, 60 damage. Drop, 50% chance of avoiding attacks next turn. I guess dropping into a trench or something, dodging. Signal, +1 Marine in play. Chained Beast. Unlike their wild brethren, chained beasts are strapped to a steel pole covered with teeth so the beast can't escape. Scratch. Thought of Freedom. Increases its attack by 20, and then Twist. Oh, like it wraps somebody around the pole that gets too close to it, I guess. Huh. I feel like there should have been a wild beast card, and then this is like a chained version of it, but I don't think I didn't see it when I was looking in there. Whoops. Okay, piloted machine. Crafted from elven wood, these contraptions walk and are capable of letting passengers shoot arrows from the windows. Machines take double damage from fire attacks. So it's like a wooden mech. 5 arrows, smash, and rebound, reverse all magic attacks done to it. And I assume that there's an unpiloted version and you have to get a pilot to get into it to get to that form. Sharpshooter, another Heroes 3 unit. Sharpshooter's bows are built so expertly that even at far range can shoot over 100 yards. All dodging attacks are useless against sharpshooters. That's kind of a fun mechanic. 3 arrows, defend. I wonder why they have that ability. They don't have a shield or anything. And wait. If not in a 2-way battle, use sharpshooter after one enemy's turn. Okay, so yeah, if you're in like a 3-way battle, then you just wait until the next person's turn. I guess that might have some tactical advantage. Okay, a Drelm. So Drelms were a fantasy race created by my cousin who's really into Tolkien, and so he made they're basically like beardless dwarves, and I guess they might have some sort of elemental abilities because Drelms absorb fire attacks, reverse ice water attacks, are immune to air and lightning attacks, and earth attacks are half damage, but physical attacks are triple effective. Complicated and kind of interesting, I guess. Axe. Shatter, -1 defense ability enemy, but the drum takes 20 damage. So basically you make it so it's unable to defend anymore if it has that ability. And then Drelm Spark, is that what that says? Drelm Spark. I have a half chance of missing a turn or being detained for a turn. The Tame Archon. The Tame Archon's magic never fails. His mana is always full. I do like the way he looks. That's actually not bad for my artistic talents at the time. At least his pose was better than some of the others I've seen. Controlled Saber. I really had to rub it in that he was very tame and like orderly. Tame magic. Change element to tame and 30 damage, of course. And summon the Wisp. Okay, I don't see the Wisp here. I'm just going to keep that right there in case we find the Wisp. Okay, piloted Zeppelin. When a Zeppelin is destroyed, a pilot is in play because they bail out of the Zeppelin once it is about to be demolished. Zeppelins take double damage from blade attacks. 60 damage and a half, 50% chance of 70 damage. Evade the pilots. manning the controls and swerving around, which is impressive for something like a Zeppelin. And Confuse, which is detained for 1 turn. Squire. When a squire is attached to a knight, the knight gains 10 hit points on alternate turns. If the knight is hurt, the squire heals it by 10 every other turn. What? Did I repeat myself? Or maybe its maximum hit points goes up if it doesn't get hurt. They become a random knight if a card uses dub. Obviously he was created concurrently with the king. And it's weird that he's tame, but knights are good. That doesn't seem to check out very well. Kamikaze, aka Saboteur or something, looks like what I was going for. Men and women whom aren't happy with their lives become explosive detonators instead of suicide. That's terrible. Kick in the crotch, apparently. Dynamite throw, 60 damage and a 50% chance of dealing 10 damage to yourself. And then Demolish, kills Sapper, 100 damage. Oh, interesting. It must have originally been called a Sapper, because on Warcraft 2 there's a Goblin Sappers that did the same thing. But I guess I changed it to Kamikaze. Weird. Okay, this was one of the later ones I made, and I remember being really proud of it. Halfling Throng. So certain halflings were easy targets and had no armor, so they made a throng. For every 20 hit points lost, the halfling throng loses 10 attack. So basically this represents like 9 halflings that are all together fighting. And so there's Sling, it does 90 damage. New member, plus 20 hit points and plus 10 attack. So yeah, each halfling has 20 hit points and then 10 attack or whatever. And then Luck. Plus 1 chance for all 50% chances, all your units. Wow, so, So I guess you'd flip a coin twice and pick the better one? You kind of gain advantage on a coin flip. I kind of regret drawing that giant halfling. Like, it just sort of takes away the entire effect of them all working together and just having one giant one for no reason. Sorcerer kind of went too far in the perspective there with his hand, but Dark and Mysterious are the ones who created the Pixie Eyes. Again, I don't know why Pixie Eyes are good if they're tame. Plasma Orb, Magic Shield, Pixie Eye. All right, here's the pilot that we've heard of. Pilot. Pilots are trained to drive zeppelins and machines before they're sent to combat. Board. If a zeppelin or machine is in play, +1 boarded zeppelin or machine in play. Makes sense, I guess. Thief. I wonder why a thief is tame. These sly weasels are criminals, masterminds, and spies all at the same time. Knife, stealth, and theft. Steal an enemy artifact. Not very much stuff with artifacts yet. I've only seen like 3 so far. Mage's Hand. Like the Sinister Hand, the Mage Hand floats without an arm, yet it can cast spells. Pulse Cannon, Barrier, and Rejuvenate. Energy Ball. Fired by someone, this energy ball has its own mind and seeks to destroy. 90 damage to an enemy and kill Energy Ball. Wow, that's a really boring card. Doesn't even have any hit points. It's basically a animated attack in the game. Griffin, part eagle and part lion, explains the griffin. Amazingly, the griffin lives longer in captivity than out in the wild. That's, I guess, an interesting way to explain why it's tame. Swoop, 20 damage. Cure, remove negative spells. I remember where that art is from in one of my books. And Hypnosis, detained for 2 turns. Definitely one of the early cards because how weak it is. Sharp Slasher. Sharp Slasher's attacks damage is not affected by attacks that block. Their swords are sharp enough to penetrate shields. So obviously very similar to the Sharpshooter, except it instead of ignoring dodge, it ignores block. Wait, attack after next player's turn. Block all attacks that deal less than 50 damage next turn. And Saber. That's kind of a better way of saying that, I think, because attack after next player's turn, that means maybe this could attack at the same time as your other creature attacks on the next turn, and that could be an interesting tactic. Stone Golem. Being made purely out of granite, stone golems rely upon strength to kill their victims. Stone Cuff, blocking strike, and oh, that only works on magic attacks, interestingly. And then Rock Twister, 50 damage. Okay, there's a lot of golems. Apparently, these are like the equivalent of elementals, but they're tame. So wooden golems were created by the woodsmiths of the free land. I love all the random lore I try to drop that had literally no basis until I just made it up on the spot. 2 double punches, block, unless it's a fire or an axe attack, it's blocked. And then Thoughtless Act, 40 damage or 20 damage healed. Weird. Diamond Golem, probably from Here's 3 as well. Diamond Golems are prized for their wondrous ability to create gems. If these golems are loved enough, they can gain attack. What? So Thump. Gems, 50% chance of converting an enemy by buying them off, apparently. Okay, and then this one's another complicated one that doesn't even have a graphic. If loving card not in play, 50% chance plus 30 attack. If loving card is in play, plus 40 attack, Diamond Golem? What the heck is a loving card? It's very weird. All right, Wisp. Unlike the bottle-kept Wisp, the free ones rely upon their master's mana to survive. Doesn't sound free at all. Iris Beam, Tame Thunder, and Change Wisp into any tame creature. All right, Tame Archon, there's your companion. Sphinx. Sphinxes eat anyone who can't answer their riddles. Stone Paw, Hypnosis, and Death Riddle. Kill enemy in 5 turns. Can't imagine a game having that many rounds in it, but I guess that's clever. Blacksmith. Blacksmiths are skilled and crafty enough so that they can make weapons on the battlefield. Revenge. For every 10 hit points of... What? For every 10 hit points lost, deal 10 damage to an enemy. That would be interesting if it didn't only have 40 hit points. Upgrade weapons. 20 attack all your units. Wow, that's really good. And build artifact. +1 artifact next turn. I like that card. It's very interesting. All right, that's all the tame cards. And so, yeah, a couple of those cards didn't end up... I must be missing a couple because I feel like there were a couple that I didn't end up seeing. But now, I guess maybe we'll see other ones at the end. Okay. Now we're going to go into artifacts. So let's see what artifacts there are, shown by the gem icon. Sapping Bone. Each turn for eternity. This bone takes 10 hit points from the enemy and gives the wielder 10 hit points, and all rejuvenations are half effective. Interesting. And I guess they were organized into major items and minor, kind of like on Here's 3. Greater Nunchucks. These nunchucks can manipulate the enemy into lowering their defense by 10. Can only be used 3 times per game. Confusing. Griffin Claw Staff. Tame heroes receive 10 hit points for every griffin in play, including your enemies, and can cast Flight, which is another one of those minus all effects next turn. Mystical Orb. With this magical orb, you can gain 10 attack to lose 10 defense, or gain 10 defense to lose 10 attack. You can use either as many times as you want. Very vague. Shrunken Hand. The Shrunken Hand lowers all cards' attacks down by 30 when played. That sounds like it would grind the game to a halt, since a lot of cards have less than 30 damage. Oh, okay, and then there's wands. I'm not sure where the other ones are, but here's the first of it. So Rainbow Wand. This magical wand amplifies attacks so that they all do double damage. Wow. Yeah, so there's other ones that only affect certain elements, but I guess this one is the ultimate one, and it just sort of showed up first. Okay, this is kind of a weird card. So this is called Austin's Friendly Love. When you play this card, all of your good and tame cards gain the ability to have a 50% chance of doing double damage. So this is based on a comic I drew There's a link in the description to it, but it's called The Neverending Comic, and it was a comic about me and these little monsters I had that was very, very heavily based on the show Digimon. And the idea was that my love inspired them to fight harder, I guess. So kind of funny and very sappy. Ugh, they're like crying and everything. Moving on, Ancient Sword. This Ancient Sword gives all good heroes plus 10 attack for all their attacks and a 50% chance of giving plus 20 attack before playing. So like critting, sort of. Shrunken Head. Using the Shrunken Head lowers your army's attack by 10, but you can cast the spell Disgusting Fate, which kills an enemy unit, and all the other men in the army lose 20 attack permanently. Maybe used once. Ooh, that is quite grisly. Minus all, so kill an enemy and then all the other units do 20 attack. Huh, that's interesting. Elemental Spellbook. I love how it's like a little spiral bound notebook sized thing of just a couple pages. This book contains 3 spells which may be casted at will by any tame or good cards. Firebolt, Rain of Healing, and Winds of Great Force. Pretty balanced and useful, I'd say. Okay, here's another wand, the War Wand. All physical attacks have double effectiveness when the War Wand is played. And I guess all was underlined because it means that the enemies are as well. Empty Zeppelin. When this Zeppelin may be driven by a pilot if the pilot uses board, giving it 100 hit points and capable of attacking. I feel like that was I feel like I could have said that a little more, less complicated. Also, a lot of these I probably never actually played in my games. They just sort of sounded good. So again, I don't know why I'm critiquing them. Amulet of the Lost Kingdom. This old amulet gives the wielder plus 20 hit points, has a 50% chance after each attack done of blocking it. Ooh, that's very powerful. And you can cast Warp Rift indefinitely. That's clearly the Warp Rift from StarCraft 1, plus 1 any card. So you can just draw out any card you want from your deck. Yeah, Major is right. Okay, these are stupid. So this was an idea I had that just basically just did not work. Chest of Credits. So first of all, I don't know why I talked about credits. Like that sounds so sci-fi. So I don't know why the credit cards and the idea of a credit card is silly. I mean, MasterCard is silly enough, but of course I came up with credits cards. Use the chest of credits to buy cards from your opponent. Offer this card for a certain card of his creature or artifact, and if he or she accepts, switch this card with theirs. I distinctly remember playing this card against a guy that I was showing my cards to, and I just sort of gave him some cards. I had some cards and we played a game. I distinctly remember using this very card and saying, can I buy your creature card? You can accept or not. And of course he's like, no. Like, why would he? So I feel like you should be able to do that automatically or something kind of like some of those gem cards, but yeah, that didn't work out very well. And plus, like, why is it $50? You know, $50 worth of credits? I don't know what that even means. Maybe it could buy that number of hit points. That's something I could have done. Austin's Shield. Austin's Shield gives plus 20 defense, and the knight who wields it can use Mirror Shield, which reverses moves done to the unit that next turn. Ring of Magic that looks more like a Rolex watch. The Ring of Magic each turn has a 50% chance of casting Precision and a 50% chance of casting Focus on any one unit. I don't even know what those abilities are. I should have added them here, but I didn't, so maybe we'll see them later, but I don't know. First Aid Kit. If you attach the First Aid Kit to a unit, that unit gains the ability First Aid Materials, and each attack done to the unit is reduced by 10. First Aid Materials plus 30 hit points. Okay. Diary of Secrecy. This diary enables a hero to record any special moves down to use later. This allows the moves to be used indefinitely at any time, cannot be stolen. Okay, I'll show you what special moves are later, and that will make more sense. Demon's Blade. This burning saber gives all evil cards, regardless of whom is wielding it, plus 30 attack. Effects are permanent. Red signal flare. If you light this flare, you can use help signal, which summons a random creature to help you out. Usable once. Okay. Ogre's Club. I'm pretty sure this was one of the first cards I made because not very good looking. Ogre's Club gives wild heroes plus 20 attack. Acid Wand. When the Acid Wand is played, all attacks that take hit points away from a unit each turn are tripled in attack. So like we've seen a couple of poison and acid attacks that do that. First Aid Tent from Heroes of Might and Magic. Place this to the side of your card that's in play to heal that unit by 20 after each attack. If the enemy attacks this tent by 30, this is discarded. I think that's obvious because that's 30 points. Psychic Wand. Magical attacks do double damage when this wand is played. Ring of Invisibility. Oh, man, I really went overboard on these jewelry ones. Like, they just end up looking stupid. Like, that almost looks like a drum or something. This wondrous ring can change you invisible, which makes the unit wearing it have only a 50% chance of getting hit by an attack. You can use Burgle and Sightless Blow indefinitely. Burgle, taking an enemy artifact. Sightless Blow, 30 damage. Ice Wand. Doubles the damage of your card's ice or water attacks. Great Sword. Swinging the sword temporarily transforms the blade to pure energy. So I guess I had in my mind how it would look like when you swing it, it starts glowing type thing, turns into energy, but kind of hard to explain, I guess. This gives the good unit wielding it plus 30 attack and can use Smite twice. Now, does that mean that it does 90 damage? Like, or just 60 flat? Because if it gets 30 attack, does that apply to the attack itself? Trophy of Achievement. If you have 100 cards, this trophy doubles the attack of all your cards and triples healing moves. Obviously, that's super overpowered, and I made this just because I was proud that I had made over 100 cards. Now I think there's something like 200. Not sure if you've been counting, but Machine... empty. If a pilot uses board while this wood machine is in the game, a piloted machine may be put into play. For sale, $50. See, that's another thing that I could have done with those credits cards, or I could have just called them treasure cards or whatever. You could use them to buy artifacts or something. Like that would have been interesting too. Catapult. The catapult may be attached to any one of your creature hero cards. That card may take a turn to use the catapult for any of the 2 attacks. Fire catapult, 50 damage. Siege boulder, kill opponent's tent, if any. I guess I didn't plan on doing any buildings, but I had probably had the first aid tent out so far. Pearl of Credit, here's the same thing, except it's $20 instead of 50. Kion the Sword. Austin's Sword Kion, Dragon Slayer, gives 50 attack to all units that use or handle a blade attack and can use DS. I ran out of room. Dragon Slayer, kill enemy of dragon. Yeah, Relic. I guess that means it's just super powerful. Rock Wand, all earth attacks deal double damage when the Rock Wand is played. Actually, quite a few earth attacks. I was impressed. Not just physical ones, but like actual rock ones as we went through these. Shield of Death. Evil heroes receive plus 10 hit points and the spell Hades Inferno when the Shield of Death is played. Effects last 3 turns before the Shield of Death must be put back in the deck. Hades Inferno. 30 damage to the enemy and 30 damage to who casts it. That's terrible. Okay, good thing at least I had the decency to call it a minor artifact. Mirror of Copying. You may use this mirror to copy your opponent's attacks twice. Could be very useful. Mysterious Egg. Anyone can see that this is a dragon egg, but who knows which kind of dragon will emerge. You may hatch this to find out. Incubate. +1 any dragon, discard Mysterious Egg. Now, I thought that the evolutionary process was wyverns evolved into dragons, so how does an egg hatch directly into a dragon? Target. This burlap/leather target gives the wielding unit plus 10 attack when they practice. If the unit is a warrior, practice may be used indefinitely. If a mage, they may be used 3 times. Okay. Kind of clever. Thunder Wand. When played, the Thunder Wand amplifies your lightning attacks by double damage. Titanic Wand. All gods' hit points is doubled and their attacks do 50% more damage. That's insane. They already have more hit points than other ones. Gorgon's Wallet. The Gorgon's Wallet allows you to attach any credit artifact card to it. Even though it's not a creature, it has hit points. So if a hero or creature does 20 damage to it, the Gorgon's Wallet is discarded. I'm guessing that this was like based on the wallet that Perseus used to hold Medusa's head, but I don't know what this is all about. Like, that's not very interesting at all. Like, why would you want to attach it to an artifact? And it can die? Terrible. Barrel of Credits, $100, but just as useless. Only trade if enemy accepts. Next we have the Bottle Kept Wisp, kind of the counterpart to that other wisp. Play the Bottle Kept Wisp as if it was a creature with a tame element. If any enchanter, tame hero, uses its summon ability, change the Bottle Kept Wisp into any one of your tame creatures. That creature is used for 2 turns, then this card is considered a wisp again. Bottle Kept Wisp may be played only thrice per game. It's very complicated and I don't understand really what the benefit of that is at all, but I guess maybe you get it in addition to whatever creature you summon. Hypnosis Pendulum. This pendulum allows the wild card holding it to use Hypnotize indefinitely, and all converting attacks last 1 turn longer. Convert enemy for 5 turns. The design of this pendulum is based on Heroes 3, the Hypnotize ability. Mask of Destruction. Ooh. Some of these cards are rougher than others, and I remember when the paper that my teachers got was like a little bit rougher and not as smooth to cut and handle and draw on, so it's weird. The hero that wears this mask may at any time change into a creature that has an attack that does 100 or more damage. Element of hero does not change. Huh. Tombstone of Sorrow. I was always proud of at least like the name of this card and the name of the ability. Good and evil cards can use Epitaph once for every unit in your army. If an evil card holds this, it gains 10 attack. If a good card holds it, it gains 10 defense. Effects last as long as the artifact is held. I feel like that's a given. Plus 20 attack, all units for each dead unit. Okay, yeah. Once for every unit in your army. That's a little weird, but anyway, kind of fun. I feel like a better word for that would have been eulogy instead of epitaph, but I always thought that word was cool anyway. Okay, this is the stupidest thing I've ever drawn. Cold Scepter. The Cold Scepter gives a 50% chance flip coin of giving plus 10 defense to the wielder and gives the wielder the spell Airborne Icicle. I don't know what I was thinking with this. It looks like a fish with like a net thing. Like, that does not look like a scepter at all. I'm ashamed of it. Fire Wand. The Fire Wand doubles the damage of all your cards' fire attacks when played. Black Magic Scroll. The 3 spells in the Black Magic Scroll may be used indefinitely by barbarians and necromancers. Flying Skull, Sap, minus 10 hit points enemy, plus 10 hit points caster each turn forever. Hologram. Tell enemy that you've copied a card, but then don't. Oh, I don't think that would work at all. That's funny. Pendant of Sight, taken straight from Heroes 3. Before you attack, the enemy has to tell you what their next move is going to be, then you can attack. Like, I guess every turn. Interesting. Mask of Fire. The hero that wears this mask turns into any creature that has a fire attack. Okay, I kind of see how that theme is going. Alright, so that's the artifacts. Now we're getting into special moves. I don't know how these work. I'm guessing you attach them to your hero and then they can just use this attack on their turn. But so I was proud of the name of this one. Viscous Coil. Viscous Coil makes the enemy detained for 5 turns unless they flip a coin and and call it correctly. In other words, you miss your turn for 5 turns unless you flip and call your coin, and that means you escape from the web. Special move Tendrils. Tendrils not only deals 30 damage, but the enemy is detained for 3 turns when this card is played. It can only be used once per game. Why? That's stupid to have like a limit on it. Only wild creatures and heroes may use this card. I love the icon for special moves. It's just like a guy like, yeah. Utilize. Once again, I incorrectly use this word. Utilize increases the attack and hit points of the wearing unit for 1 turn. Twice per game. Special move, Whirlwind. Whirlwind mixes up everyone's. Shuffle the enemy's deck. It's funny that I drew this art and had a description, and then drew the art again and used a description. Like, that's just funny to me. Focus, and I mean, I guess if this is kind of like representing what it would look like on the hero's action bar, but focus, so focus. This is one of the, I can't even remember at this point what the artifact was that casts this randomly, but here it is. Focus gives plus 30 attack, but each attack you use deals the extra 30 and then lowers back to plus 0 its original attack. Oh, never mind, that's not plus 0, that's 2. To its original attack. You can do this 5 times 150, and each attack used with 150 is lowered by 30 each time. Okay, I think I get that. So basically, if you do... that's weird. So if you use it 5 times and get a plus 150 damage, you can attack the first time for 150, the second time for 120, and so forth. But if you use it once and then attack, then you do an extra 30 damage, and then it goes back down. So it's like cumulative, but that's very confusing. There's probably some sort of math in there with action economy that is interesting, but my past self has stumped me. Special move Holocaust. I did not know what Holocaust meant, except on, what's it called? My Princess Bride with the Holocaust cloak, so I thought it meant fire. Consuming the enemy is sacrificial fire. Holocaust kills all non-fire enemies and takes 50 hit points from the using unit. So basically, if it's not a fire elemental, you kill it and deal 50 damage to yourself. Pulsate. Pulsate gives 20 hit points this turn, then takes 20 hit points next turn. Next turn it gives 20, next it takes 20. This continues forever. I have no idea why you would want that, but okay. Basically just gain 20 hit points with a downside. Last Blood. If any units have less hit points than their starting hit points, they get healed by 30 hit points. Units must be friendly. That guy's missing a nose and a arm. Special move, Immortal Blood. Immortal Blood gives a card plus 100 hit points, but the effects last only 3 turns till the hit points turn back. Okay, yeah, I like that one. You might die if you're below 100 hit points at that point. Choice Knife. Choice Knife has a 50% chance of dealing 30 damage to you and a 50% chance of dealing 30 damage to the opponent. Agility. Agility resists all effects, good or bad, on the unit's next turn. Yeah, so a lot of cards have that, so it's not very useful. I'm pretty sure that's one of the first special moves I made. Obliterate. Obliterate instantly kills the enemy, but costs 30 hit points from the unit. It can only be used twice per game. Element Summon. Lets you draw an elemental card to put into your deck. May be used indefinitely. Okay. All right, and that's the rest of the special moves. Now we get to a few special cards that are unique to the other ones, and you'll see why. So this is a possessed card, but really what it should be is infested, because it's basically like a Zerg infested unit. Evil Austin. Of course, Austin would never commit evil acts, but once was possessed by an evil spirit and is now evil himself. Claws, Mucus Spore, and Disable. Minus all defense or lasting attacks. What's a lasting attack? So yeah, that's basically the story was I got possessed by an evil spirit and got infested by a Zerg. Here's Evil Jareth. So there's evil versions of the knights, including me, apparently. Evil Jareth. After an evil spirit possessed Jareth, he barely has even any human features. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that wasn't an evil spirit that possessed him. Claws, Mucus Spore, and Burrow. Evil Arco. The evil spirit that possessed Arco was powerful enough to turn him evil, yet not to change him that much, at least appearance-wise. Just for the fun of it, let's take a look at what Arco, oh yeah, it's kind of funny. All right, back to, where were we? Okay, now are some special edition Harry Potter battle cards. And these ones, as you might be able to see, are laminated, which I was very proud about. So this is Harry Potter. For Pete's sake, you know about Harry Potter. Doesn't even need a description, and it's all obviously in color. So, yeah, so these are taken directly from the 2001 Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone PC computer game. So these were the symbols for each of these abilities. Flipendo, 30 damage. Alohomora, steal an artifact. Wingardium Leviosa, switch any 2 cards. Lumos, -2 turns. And Incendio, kill enemy if plant, which is kind of funny. And then Quidditch skills, dodge next attack. So, yep. And continuing with that special edition, you got the Invisibility Cloak. This magical cloak allows you to be immune to ranged attacks and use Unknown Retreat 5 times per game. Switch unit with other unit +1 turn. And this is the prize flag. This wonderful flag gives all men in your army the ability to rejuvenate 10 hit points every turn and gain the Fire Shield ability, which hurts the striking enemy by 10 after the attack. The flag is passed on to the victor of each battle fought. It is a glorious honor to own the flag. So this is kind of fun. Basically, we got this as like a way to like whenever we would play a game together on the bus of battle cards, whoever won would get to keep this for the next battle and get a little bit of an advantage. One thing though is I just hate the way that I drew this. Like it just looks busy. There's way too many colors. I don't know why the flag is like sewn to the flagpole. I don't like these red things. You can barely even see what it's a picture of. It's a picture of like a sword and a spear over a shield, but like there's like these weird puzzle pieces. Anyway, so I'm not a fan of the card, but as you can see, I tried to put a lot of effort into it with like, you know, advanced graphics and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's a relic card. This is Bry. He is a character from the Neverending comic. Again, it's in the description if you want to read it. Bry is Austin's loyal monster who protects him, and they love each other as best friends. I don't know why I kept pushing that so much. Special edition card. Thunderlick is one of his abilities. Whip Flipper is his other one. And Water Blow, -80 hit points, enemy of fire. Kind of bad, but yeah, special edition. And then this was just me using my, basically practicing learning Norse runes. I pretty much, I don't really know why I made this other than to practice it. Yeah, that's his battle card, and I made things sort of angular like that. And yeah, basically this is just in runes. And this says Topaz Warrior, except back then I thought that O and P had the same rune, so it's hard to read. This is Artifact, that says -40 hit points. Rune? No. Ray? Oh, I was so bad with these back then. That says R-A-U, but I think, or R-A-V, but I think it meant Y, so Ray, I guess. And then gems, 50% convert. And then that says Druid Drum. Detains, no wait, that can't be right, -20. Oh, I do not use that rune anymore, that's so hard to see. Defense, oh, -20 defense, okay. And it says this small statue is made from Druid Stoges is made from Druid Stoges. Okay, I don't know what that means. The magical roll it emits. Magical what? Magical rays it emits have been this is so bad. That is not a V. I think I just made that up because I didn't know what V was. Passed on for generations of druids. Wow, that was way worse than I remember it being. Okay, that was a waste of time. Okay, so, and then there's 2 joke cards that I made. Really unfair card. Now that you know the cards, you can kind of see how this works. But yeah, 1100 hit points. Somebody stop me. Illogical gun, 1000 damage. Unfair shield, block all attacks forever. Get enemy playing canasta, -50 turns. It's funny that I didn't even bother to like say that it was a joke card on the back. And then this is Killer Smurf Man, which was ironically one of the best arts that I've ever made on these cards, but it's a joke. So beat to pulp, slice to ribbons, look cute for a split second. Oh, give me a break. Yeah, so that was obviously a joke card. Oh, and then that was like, you know, I guess his death animation or something, so. Well, so that is battle cards for you. I remember towards the end of making battle cards, makes me kind of sad that some of them are missing, but anyway, towards the end of making them, I remember experimenting more. Like I made like a campaign, like a single player campaign that you could play with battle cards, where there was a map and there were NPC cards that said like little lines of dialogue on them that you could read and use to, it was almost like you went through the game, and then when you talked to an NPC, you drew an NPC card and listened to what they had to say, and it was like hints about the game or something like that. It never really went anywhere, and pretty soon after that, my teachers stopped stocking that type of paper, and I mainly just sort of lost interest in making more of these. But anyway, but I'm proud of these. It represents probably the most fun year of my entire life. When I was like 11, 12, that was just the time of my life when everything was carefree, just play games with my friends on the bus. There were no smartphones back there. It was all just sort of make your own entertainment, and our entertainment was battle cards. And I'm in contact with some of the friends that I used to play with these with, but not all of them, and so I miss them quite a bit, and it was fun to, it's always fun to have these as one of my treasured possessions of my youth, and glad that I still have them to this day. Yeah, these started in 2000, so. Thanks for coming along with me down this walk down memory lane, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.